Okay, hey, aloha everybody. I know the countdown wasn't done yet, but I turned the countdown on late because I kind of did the announcements and it's been so long, dear chat, since we've met that I forgot you have to turn the damn thing on. Hi, Kapua. It's so long that Kapua almost thought that when she hears, "Hi, my name's Mike, I'm a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer," to come on in. That's her cue. Yes, it is. Is that your cue? Are you a smart dog who knows your cues? Are you a smart dog who knows your cues? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're such a good girl. Okay, go play. So, let's see. Where was I? Right, Mike, lawyer. Probably not your lawyer. If I am your lawyer, we've talked about this stuff. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2025, which is a year that is going to be almost certainly bringing a large amount of change for me. And will be bringing some change for us as well. Some of that I can go into right now, some of it I can't go into right now, but I can give you a little bit of a preview of what we're going to be looking for in the year ahead. First of all, I'm sticking with my resolution to make this entirely a tech stream, a tech law, IP law stream, no matter what. I'm burnt out on the politics, honestly. I can pay attention to it enough and cry into my own drinks without adding my voice to the many, many voices. So, sadly, no Rudy. That's the first thing. There are other reasons also, some of which I may, again, be able to get into later, but can't right now. Second is, we're going to have probably no more than 2-3 absolute maximum streams this month. If you want to adjust your subscriptions accordingly and drop subs for a month, I totally understand. We've got today's stream, which will be on the motion to dismiss that was filed on December 19th in the WordPress case. The next stream will be after I get back from Japan, which isn't until the 9th. So, yeah, I'm going to Japan with my family, but we're leaving next Wednesday, so we won't be streaming next Thursday. We will still be in Japan the Thursday after that, so that'll be 2 weeks off, and then we'll be back the week following that. I may have additional travel the week after that, may not, don't know, up in the air. And then, in addition to everything else, on top of everything else, February, we are scheduled to close on a condo toward the end of the month, which means we're moving. Bad news is that that'll probably disrupt a stream or two. Good news is that I will be able to have fiber into the wall in the new place and will be able to bring me back to the high definition of this charming face that you all deserve and just haven't been getting. I don't know what else to say on that one. But yeah, the new place is set up for fiber in every room, so we should be able to, plug this bad boy in and actually not have to worry about what the Wi-Fi does to the stream rates. So yeah, thanks all. With my wife scheduled to retire, this place was going to no longer be a housing option by the end of the summer anyway. So we found a place. It's a lot smaller. The scenery is not nearly as nice, but the scenery is nice. Still, I mean, it's Hawaii, But I mean the scenery is not nice. I mean, I'm not going to have an expansive ocean view, and I'm going to have to, go downstairs, leave the building, walk across the parking lot, and cross the street to be able to actually see Diamond Head. So, yeah, not a great view. Do we have to move ourselves this time? We don't have to. We're going to do some. It is a longer walk to the ocean if I do ever piss off Catherine, but on the bright side, it's a walk, it's a couple more, actually might be about the same distance, flatter, and it's gonna be a nicer entry point. I won't have to enter like the toxic lagoon. I will be able to enter and keep walking from a clean surf beach. So at least the end will be slightly more pleasant. Um, don't know what else to say there. Um, so yeah, in terms of can I get to hiking trails? Sure. I mean, it's a small island. I might have to, drive to a trailhead, but with the exception of one trailhead, I have to drive to trailheads anyway. Um, I mean, aside from when the eddy is a go, it's very hard to drive for more than a couple of hours on this island. It should be impossible to drive for more than a couple of hours on this island without, backtracking and stuff. But have you seen our traffic? Anyway, there is also a chance that the stream time will be moving to something much less East Coast friendly in March. I'll know more about that in a month or two. What we may be able to do at that point is get at least some weekends where we've got an East Coast friendly stream time or something. But I'll have a better idea, like I said, about that later this month, next month sometime. All right. So, what are we doing today? We are doing WordPress. Actually, do you all have questions about things that are not WordPress drama? Also on the WordPress drama, I'm going to summarize everything that has gone on by pretending to hide under my desk. Okay, there, that was me pretending to hide under my desk. 1. 2, are they back from their holiday break yet? Like, if I wanted to set up a WordPress.org account, could I right now? Or are they still on holiday break? We're not doing politics, which is a shame, because if we were doing politics, I would have to say very non-zero. Go ahead, Lupine. Did they implement any of the Reddit ideas? Weren't most of the Reddit ideas having to do with things that he could put into various orifices? But honestly, oh, does the honey class action have wings? I haven't even seen it yet, guys. I've been in discovery hell. To whence I will be returning immediately after this stream. I've seen extremely little of anything. So if you all want to drop stuff and at me in my Discord, that's the way to get my attention for stuff right now, because then I can find it later when I can stop reading other people's mail. And texts. And everything. Oh god, so some people will impersonate artists. Okay, go ahead. Regarding topics for the stream, Grinch, can we still... it's going to depend on the lawsuit in question. It's going to depend on the one that's in the one in question there, honestly. I mean, that's really all I can say on that one. Impersonating artists to scam, would that be copyright or trademark infringement? It might be right of publicity violation. There's a few different things it could be. Siri sentiments, same thing, guys. I've been, family, other people's email and text messages, family, other people's email and text messages for the past, week and a half. So, never assume that I'm seeing the news. Passing off is mostly unfair competition here. We don't really have the same kind of freestanding passing off. To give you an idea how my year is going so far at work, I actually read that as passing out the first time and had to stop and reset my brain and then look and see. Yeah, there's also potential fraud and stuff. So anyway, we'll look at the other cases as we move forward. What we're going to look at today is Peace. 3, 4, 3. Hogan Lovells working their magic again. Cha-cha. Oh, hang on. You know what? Let me just download this and open it in Adobe like I usually do. Rather than, using a web browser like a barbarian. Then we can use that scene, which is preset for Adobe. It has the word Adobe. God, I don't do this stuff for like a week, and I forget how anything works. All right. So a couple of things. First of all, I did talk about their prior motion to dismiss and anti-slap motion a little bit. What I'm going to do on this one, this motion is directed at the amended complaint. The amended complaint didn't actually differ as much as I expected from the original complaint. I don't think they dropped any causes of action. They just added a bunch. So my inclination on this one is to skim through the causes of action that we've already covered and just look at the new thing. Now, again, just for the non-lawyers to refresh where we're at on this one, this is a motion to dismiss. So what this is, in effect, for all intents and purposes, this is Automatic and Maddie Mullenweg saying, please close left window to embiggen. Might actually work. There we go. Good call. This is Maddie Mullenweg and Automatic saying, basically, even if everything you put in this complaint is God's honest truth, you got no case. So court, please tell everybody to go home. We can already be reasonably certain that the judge will, in fact, not tell them to go home completely. The reason that we can be relatively certain of this is that there's a likelihood of success of the merits has been found on the tortious interference claims. That's a pretty strong signal, you might say, that the tortious interference claims are not going to fall to a motion to dismiss. Everything else is potentially up for grabs, and it'll be interesting to see. I expect fully that some claims will get dismissed. The preliminary injunction motion was a pure win for WPE. I do not expect the motion to dismiss to be a pure win for WPE. That's fine. That's not an issue. There is a school of thought, in fact, that says that if you're not losing at least a few of your claims on a motion to dismiss, you ain't pled aggressively enough. So, but also, 22nd is the response. That'll put the reply sometime into February. There is an extremely good chance, despite how quickly this judge moved on the preliminary injunction, I would say that there is an exceptionally good chance. In fact, strike that. I'm going to put the over-under on when we get a decision on the motion to dismiss at Memorial Day. I'll put that's where I would put the over-under. Am I giving, is that too early even? Let me see. Let me look back at the docket, which I cleverly... it'll be fully briefed by February 5th. So March 5th, April 5th, May 5th. Yeah, Yeah, I would put it at 100 to 120 days as. Honestly, I'd view anything under 90 as quick. For those of you who don't care about American holidays, around the time of the early summer bank holiday. How's that? Which is basically the same weekend most years. So I would be, if it's fully briefed. Oh well, actually, never mind. Nope, I'm going to take that back. It's set for hearing June 5th. Never mind. It'll be the summer. It'll be the end of the summer before they stick to that schedule. It's going to be the end of the summer until we get a decision there. Labor Day, which would be the late August bank holiday for the non-Americans. So yeah, no, hearing's not until June. I didn't spot that. Assuming that they're sticking to that schedule and the hearing doesn't get moved up, yeah. It'll be the end of the summer for the decision. But I would expect the decision by the end of the summer because I would expect that the current class of law clerks would want to work on it. So I would expect it before the to be out before the law clerks swap out. All right, notice of motion. Yeah, the PI is totally unurgent. It's really not urgent at all for WPE at this point. It's not particularly urgent for either side. And if that's the briefing calendar, unless discovery is exceptionally, unless the period of discovery is exceptionally long, or exceptionally short, I mean, I would not expect this case on this calendar to be decided until 2027-ish. Late 26, possibly. I'm also expecting that, I'm also more expecting that it would settle but we'll have to see. Hang on for 1 second. Sorry about that. Really in a level of discovery hell right now. All right. Other things on the judge. So is most of the wait between the hearing and the decision just the judge not getting around to writing it? Well, let's define not getting around. Actually, let me see if I can do this. Let's go ahead and let's look at Court Listener real quick. Court Listener is a great resource. We don't necessarily use it often enough. So there's the judge. We'll click on the judge's name since the judge is a clickable link. This is what the judge is associated with right now. So when we talk about getting around to, now this isn't fully Pacer, so I can't search for what's still active, but let's just go for, how about this? Let's just go for cases that are active since June. Last 6 months. $208 cases filed in the last 6 months. So when we're talking about getting around to, there's definitions in play here. And yeah, that's why it takes 5 months to find a half-day hearing for a thing sometimes. I don't think there's a judicial system in the developed world that's not overloaded. And more continuing to be filed. Now, a lot of those will settle without the need for a hearing. A number of them will settle without the need for the judge's attention really at all. But, let's just put this in perspective. Those 200 cases are probably no more than half her docket. But, so 208 cases. So let's see. That's the number of new cases in 6 months, right? Now, let's say that 6 months is 40 hours times 25 work weeks. That's 1,000 hours. Divided by, let's call it 210 cases. That's the number of hours per case. And this is, I assure you, a radically optimistic view of what the judge's actual caseload looks like. Now, of course, the 40-hour myth thing, as soon as I did that, any law clerk who was watching, I apologize for the trauma, and I hear in my bones your bitter laugh. And yeah, that's a baseline. That's also without dealing with things like meetings and other fairly routine stuff. So there you have it. So let's look at this motion to dismiss. All right. So defendants are seeking an order dismissing counts 1 to 6. That's right. They're leaving the trademark stuff still. Counts 7 and 8 will stay in play. And so will 17 and 18. Okay, so what are 17 and 18? I need to go back to review the complaint real quick. Sorry, guys. Which means that All right, come on. Amended complaint. Affidavit of service. Order reassigning case. Dex. Amended complaint. Here we go. So, we said 7 and 8 were standing, right? So 7 and 8 are the trademark claims. And 17 and 18, the strike in part, are unfair competition and false advertising. So they're still seeking to dismiss the tortious interference claim, which is honestly a bold move. I mean, genuinely. You get a limited word count for these things. Did you really want to use it? Moving to dismiss the claim that the judge has exceptionally strongly signaled will survive. Oh, how many clerks are available? Trying to remember. I think a district court judge gets 2. All right, so let's see. Amended complaint fails to strike. Okay, this is also interesting because we're going right to antitrust. 4 antitrust claims, 2 for monopolization and attempted monopolization, 2 for unlawful tying, and each requires a relevant market in which defendants have market power and have engaged in anti-competitive conduct. All right, this is one of the new ones. First, WPE implausibly gerrymanders its relevant markets around the ecosystem built upon the WordPress branded software platform itself. All right. Second, they fail to allege facts showing that defendants have market power in any of the alleged markets. Third, is the tortuous interference thing a courageous move in the British politics sense? I wouldn't say that. I would say more a bold move in the cotton sense. It's not gonna. I mean, it's not gonna hurt them. It's just not gonna work out well. Third, the conduct and tying allegations amount to nothing more than a gripe about the statements and alleged refusal to deal, but the antitrust laws don't police commercial speech or force companies to deal with competitors. All right, relevant product market is the starting point for monopolization and tying. Product markets consist of products reasonably interchangeable by consumers for the same purpose. In rare circumstances, a for-market and single-brand aftermarkets must overcome a presumption that consumers make a knowing choice to restrict their aftermarket options. To do so, they must plead aftermarket restrictions are not generously... Okay, I see the thrust of their argument. I don't know how good it is, but this is a legal argument. So basically, WP's alleged four relevant markets: web content management systems market. WordPress has not got monopoly power in web content management systems. That seems implausible to me off the back. Should we refer back to this claim in the complaint? Robert, if I had the time to do as in-depth a dive as I wanted to today, we would, but I'm sorry, I just don't. I've got a couple thousand more text messages to read by tomorrow. A WordPress custom field plugins market. That's a pretty narrow market. Plugin distribution market. The latter three markets limited to WordPress would fail, given that there are WordPress alternatives available to customers. To avoid this, WordPress thus alleges that web content management systems are a for-market and WordPress web hosting services are single-brand aftermarkets. Yeah, you know what? I don't think that's a strong claim. So basically, guys, I mean, I'm not an antitrust expert or anything, but it's a pain in the ass to change content management, right? But is it impossible? I mean, I think it's already proven not to by the fact that people are moving sites off WordPress in response to the yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a market here that WordPress is monopolizing. It's a pain, yes, it's a pain. But no, I mean off WordPress entirely. Yeah, and that's the thing. Off any WordPress, yeah, move from WordPress to Craft CMS. Yeah, annoying but doable. So, but then again, but also there's not really much of an argument against here. This will be interesting to see on the reply. In fact, I'm actually, because this is pretty bare bones for a motion to dismiss. As for the second argument, must allege that consumers, not other market Participants cannot predict life cycle pricing of web hosting services because of significant information costs. Defendant's deception has also made it difficult to forecast spend. I mean, defendant's deception has made it impossible, really. The fact that defendants might seek a trademark royalty payment does not mean consumers cannot predict life cycle pricing. Alleges no facts acknowledging the third and fourth ones. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that these antitrust claims are standing. I'm going to be interested to see the response brief in a couple of weeks and see how the response brief, what the response brief draws out, what arguments it makes. But if you're going to fail to meet if you fail to meet any one element, you're gone. Market power. This is going to be. I see why the claims are there. I see what they're looking to argue. The antitrust could be baiting Mullenweg into more public confessions. Also true. I think what a lot of what this is, honestly, was them using the opportunity to build the factual landscape that's going to support the stronger claims. I don't think the anti-competitive conduct is incredibly strong, but again, I mean, we'll see what the response brief looks like on this one. This is clearly the key. Is clearly a key here. Alleges that basically they are alleging the tortuous interference is antitrust, and the thing is, that type of tortuous interference really feels very antitrusty if you think about it. I'm not sure that it's going to tick all the boxes it has to tick. But it's got that. The vibe is right, you know what I mean? I don't know that the law is right, but the vibe is kind of right. Mullenweg has asserted monopoly control over plugin distribution for all intents and purposes, given the number of hard-coded references. That feels quite anti-competitive. And proof of harm of competition is one thing. Part of the problem, and I'm going to say this for Vincent Works, one thing that we do not have here that I increasingly think that are more are less diverged from our Anglic roots colleagues have available to them, and we really could use, is a much better common law tort of unfair competition. I suspect that if I were to read up on it in depth, I don't know that I'll have the time or the inclination to do so. I suspect that were I to read up on it in depth, I would find that the Sherman Act and the collection of state laws that are known as Little Shermans probably cut off development of the common law tort. Also probably did in response to the Lochner Court, which is, but quite plausibly cut off development of the common law tort of unfair competition, which is a shame because I don't think Automatic's behavior here, or Mullenweg's behavior here, is monopolistic in the strict sense but I think it is certainly unfair competition. For the non-lawyers, I feel like I owe you an apology for that diversion into geekery. Basically, it's like this. For the most part, activities that are wrong in many, many places. They're just wrong for very different reasons sometimes. All right, Earl's asking, what's the difference between what Matt's doing and what every large cell carrier does? Cancel your contract with Verizon and AT&T will pay your fees and give you a new phone? Here's a key difference, Earl. Verizon is not running around blowing up AT&T cell towers. And then simultaneously saying, hey, AT&T service is becoming radically unreliable. You should come to Verizon and we will cancel your, Verizon is, AT&T's not running, I had it reversed there. AT&T's not running around blowing up Verizon cell towers and then telling Verizon customers, hey, Verizon's getting really unreliable. You should come to AT&T. We will pay your fees and cancel your contract. If you cancel your contract. So that's kind of the difference between the interference that Matt is doing and what cell carriers do. It's one thing to offer to buy somebody out of their contract as an advertising expense, as a business strategy. It becomes a very different thing when you are doing your best to undercut the service that they are providing. When you, in other words, when you are trying to make their service actively worse, and then seal the customers that way, that becomes, a lot closer to and potentially well over the line of tortuous interference, where just saying, honestly, Matt could probably have gotten away with just saying, hey, these guys are awful. They're not contributing to the ecosystem the way that other companies are. I think that's bad. I don't think they should be making money that way. And if you want to move from them to folks who will, who do respect the community, if you want your money to go to better WordPress citizens, I'm going to make that easy for you by offering a special deal for the next month. Or whatever. Probably he's fine. It's that, attempt to extort money for, instead of stuff that, and not just extort money, but extort money as a payment directly to Automatic. That's where it gets a little bit, icky. Yeah, or imagine if Verizon bought Android from Google and degraded service on AT&T. Yeah, better analogy, even. Although I think blowing up cell towers is simple and yet still captures the spirit of the current shenanigans. But Earl, did that answer your question? Because that was a good question, and it's a very critical legal distinction because we don't want to be suppressing legitimate competition, but it's also a very difficult line to draw sometimes. Yeah, and I think the best way that I would do it is tortuous interference has two words, tortuous and interference, and you need both of them. Just saying, I'll buy you out, is just interference. All right, so at the bottom, WP complains that defendants are refusing to deal with them by not allowing WP to access. But the Sherman Act does not restrict the long-recognized right of a trader or manufacturer free to exercise his own independent discretion as to parties with whom he will deal. The only limited exception to this general rule is where a defendant does unilaterally terminates a voluntary and profitable course of dealing. That may be a difficult element, although you can make some arguments there. All right. You know, yeah, I don't know. Um, be interested to see what happens. But yeah, the biggest problem that Matt's got with his "I'm just refusing to provide free access" theory is that it's undercut by, and actually one of the things that, win or lose on the motion to dismiss, one of the nice things that this antitrust claim does is it locks him even more thoroughly into I am WordPress. In fact, so basically, the more Matt makes WordPress c'est moi, his theory of the case, I think the more trouble he's going to get into. And he is very much making WordPress c'est moi the theory of his case. In addition to the more trouble that he's going to get into on that one, we also have we also have you know damn, I lost my train of thought. I should not have looked when that thing went buzz. That is my bad. I owe you an apology. Somebody clue me in as to what the hell I was saying. Damn, that's embarrassing. But it probably beats you watching me ramble around in my head for the next 45 seconds trying to find the thing. I shouldn't try to multitask, man. I've never been able to What makes me think I can Oh, WordPress c'est moi. Yes, thank you. The more that Matt makes WordPress c'est moi the theory of the case, the less stable he makes WordPress as a thing anybody should be using. Yeah. I'm just going to look at the "you're getting old" comment and point at the source of the comment. And I'm just going to leave it there. Multitasking was a sham anyway. Yeah, so here's the deal, guys. Matt's argument is becoming more and more intensely that he is WordPress. That he is WordPress. So he's being sued personally, yeah. Why is he being sued personally? Because, well, he personally has done things that are. So at the rate Matt's going, the hypothetical worst the court can do to him in WordPress isn't the concern. At the rate Matt's going, the concern is there won't be any WordPress left that's not really automatic and a few others hanging around the fringes. That's the risk. Because something else is going to occur to his counsel at some point in the next few months, y'all. Let me just be clear on this. Now, we saw some of this with WordPress.org's winter break. By the way, I don't think I saw an answer. If there was one and I didn't see it, I apologize. Is the winter break over yet for WordPress.org? Or is the winter break still going on? But either way, yeah, at the rate he's going, the non-Matt developers' jump ship to forks is a real and increasing possibility, especially since I'm a lawyer. I'm not a tech guy. Take this for what it's worth. This is not based on any inside information. This is based on my lawyer's instinct, thinking about who he's represented by and thinking about the thing he's staking out, the positions he's locking himself into here. there is a real chance, and by real chance, I'm going to say I think more likely than not, that at some point in the next few months, plausibly prior to the June hearing, his lawyers are going to suggest to him that, it's really a bad look that you were only ever trying to exert this unilateral power against WPE. And you would look much better on your legal arguments if it wasn't just WPE that was the subject of your use of these powers. I mean, I'm just saying, I think I would put the odds that one or more of his lawyers have some type of conversation with him along those lines at more likely than not. It's already happening. It's going to keep happening, and it's going to get worse. That's my prediction. Again, this is not a prediction that is based on inside knowledge or anything other than a combination of vibes and looking at the logic of these legal arguments. The Nice and Not Nice Lawyers article, yeah. Oh, you thought I was going to suggest that his lawyers will recommend settlement discussions. They might, and I mean the ADR, there's going to be an ADR process at some point in time. And here's one other thing that is a good thing to remember, y'all. It's easy. It is very easy to fall into a these people are making the legal arguments that I like, therefore they are on my side mindset. That's not a safe mindset. Not remotely a safe mindset. WPE has obligations to its investors. The obligations that WPE has to its investors may very well differ, and differ substantially, from what is in the best interests of the community as a whole. It would be wrong. Well, wrong might be a little bit strong. It would be a bad call for the community to fall into the assumption that an outcome that's good or acceptable for WPE will not be one that is bad for the community. They've got their own interests. Their own interests are their interests as a business. Those interests are not the interests of the community. And would this be like Dominion settling versus dragging Fox through the mud? Yeah, kind of. I mean, again, you all have things you might want to see out of this case. What WPE wants is what is best in their business, what's going to be best for their business interests. If what is best for their business interests is, for example, settling out so that they pay a 0.5% royalty in exchange for guaranteed access and total cessation of hostilities, How good is that for the community? And bear in mind that, things that WP has to consider are the ongoing effects of the dispute itself on their business, which are in addition to the extreme expense of litigation in a case like this. So, yeah. I can think of a number of different plausible settlements right now where WP could agree to something that they could live with that would leave automatic and complete control. All right, moving on. Describing their conduct as fiercely competitive. See what I said above, though, over blowing crap up. I'm going to skip past the tying complaint. Count 16, declaratory judgment of trademark misuse is not a recognized claim. That's actually slightly fair. The argument that enforcement of the trademark rights are as anti-competitive falls flat. No. That's selective enforcement of rights that quite plausibly don't exist anymore. How's any of this impact the average WP user? The average WP user might want to be prepared to move to TypeCrunch. Glyph Smash. Candy Blast. I'm sorry, Candy Blast is something completely different, right? The attempted extortion claim we talked about, and this is going to be largely identical to what they asserted in the previous one. The headings are the same, in fact. The same for the CFAA. The CFAA claim interests me, but I won't know how good it is until I see the response papers. Intentionally or recklessly cause damage. I'd say they're reckless. The UCL claim, they argued that before, and we talked about that before. And what I said last time, which is that I don't know California's UCL, is still true. Defamation is literally the defamation claims were identical, so the anti-slap motion is going to be exactly the same. That said, I actually think there's a better than even odds chance that that the defamation claim survives now. Just flat out. So the services people are affected how? Evil Moose, you're going to have to ask the services people. I mean, what I'm saying is this case may be the end of WordPress as a viable open access project. Because WordPress is an open access project, it is widely used. Ergo, it may be the end of WordPress as being widely used. It will, I think what is likely to happen, or at least more likely than not, is that low to no cost WordPress ceases to be an available option in terms of the software aspects of it. The update servers aspects of it. That's, now you got to remember on this one, Evil Moose, this is scholar me more than litigator me. This is my read as a litigator of what is on. I know it looks weird every time. This looks like I'm pointing at the thing, but it's actually on that screen. This is me as a litigator analyzing the arguments that are likely to be made. And then it's not even so much predicting beyond what I can prove, it's that my litigator instincts are kind of melding with my more academic approach to free and open source software. I haven't worked a pure FOSS litigation. On the other hand, on the other hand, I've got on the wealth of networks on the shelf behind me. I know the olfactory sensation of having been in a room with well, you can get it from there, right? You get what I'm saying on where my exposure is to open source. Yeah, different hats I could change at will. Where's Will? Oh, and actually oh yeah, that's right. I don't always throw the hat on stream. Sometimes I throw the hat when I'm not on stream. By the way, guys, Free Law, they got a really cool new project coming out. Remind me, I'll talk about that at the end. Yeah. So, Evil Moose, in my opinion, in terms of whether WPE or, where WPE and Automatic and Matt stand on the AITA scale, ESH for sure. The problem, though, is that WPE is a commercial user of the open source software. Automatic, we now know, which we did not 4 months ago, but we now know that Automatic and not the WordPress Foundation is the true custodian of the open source project, to the extent that Matt Mullenweg personally isn't. And the effective custodian of the project royally sucking from an open source perspective is a huge ass problem. The collective action problem is... I'm not a businessman. I may not be a great... I would not make a great businessman. But let me make a prediction right now. A lot of people at WP are probably working on a full fork right now. Custodian in this case as Evil Mouse, they literally have custody and full control over the update server that's hard-coded in. They are asserting broad trademark rights beyond what I think are legally supportable, to be honest. And they have also asserted, at least until the court made them walk it back, the ability to entirely take over a plugin from the plugin developer, making themselves the developer, keeping the old ratings though, and reviews, and pushing out their side of the fork rather than the original developer's side. So, I mean, yeah, basically. Everything WordPress ran through WordPress.org, and we now know that WordPress.org is fully owned and allegedly under the exclusive control of Matt Mullenweg. That sounds like a lot of things to me, not just, So, it gets interesting here. I can't think of any analogous case where somebody has tried this hard to rip something to, for all intents and purposes, rip something back out of open source and entirely take it back into private control. All right. I think given given Matt's complete use or repeated use of chopped up and bastardized and whatever he called it, on the excuse that I believe I told that lawyer to find that shareholder to find a lawyer. So, well, the thing is, the thing about the GPL and all open. All right, guys, look, you know what? Let me just get through this and then I'll soapbox on the GPL and the other stuff. All right. I think the defamation claim more likely than not withstands the motion to dismiss. I think that Mullenweg's repeated use of, a thing that they've cut and chopped up and mutilated, or whatever he was saying, when he was, theoretically expecting everybody to know that he really just meant that they turned they turned a single setting to off by default. I don't think that you get you get opinion on disclosed facts at that point, because I don't think anybody sane is gonna say, oh yeah, that one thing is enough for that we can reasonably think that this guy was saying that's using that to describe that. I don't know that the claim survives summary judgment, but I think it survives motion to dismiss. Promissory estoppel is another strong claim. I don't think promissory estoppel gets dismissed. The promises were too express. Characterizations of ownership structure, not promises of access or availability. Further, at least certain of these statements were made by volunteer website good luck with that one, my bro. And the statements that were made by an automatic employee were made only 1 year ago. And thus could not possibly have been relied on 13 years prior, when you said you were contributing everything to their GPL is new public license, GNU. Really going with WordPress c'est moi. Yeah. And the thing is, WordPress c'est moi is his best defense, but it's the one that kills WordPress the quickest. Unambiguous promise. You know what? If everybody in the fucking community thought you made the promise, you made the promise. Is there anybody in the community who doesn't think he made the promise? Anybody? Does anybody think that they hadn't promised that access to WordPress.org was going to stay open and free? Yeah, literally nobody thinks he didn't make that promise. I don't even know what else to say at that point. I mean, everybody thinks he made that promise. You know why? Because he made it. We talked about the promise, the interference claims. Those are staying. Unjust enrichment probably stays past the motion to dismiss because it's in the alternative. Counts 3, 5, 14, 15, 17, 19 rests solely on actions and activity on WordPress.org, but as WPE admits, the website is owned solely by Matt. Man. Similarly, counts 9 to 11 rely on statements made by Matt in his individual capacity as co-founder of WordPress. There's no basis for holding Automatic liable for that statement. Yeah, there is. He's the CEO of Automatic, and he was trying to extort royalty payments to be made to Automatic. And now, I would love to see how... I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. I'm not gonna go too much more in there, but okay. You know what this was? This was a trap. Of the same subtlety and nuance as a net triggered by a piece of meat that's been hung up by Ewoks. Like, I was young. What year was Jedi? 82 or 84? Jedi was like 82, right? It was either 82 or 84. I was between 7 and 9 when Return of the Jedi came out. I was between 7 and age 9 when Return of the Jedi came out. And even I could look at that scene and know exactly what was going to happen when Chewie grabbed the meat. Is there anybody who has watched that movie who did not know what was going to happen when Chewie grabbed the meat? The website's owned solely by Matt, but it's staffed up by Automatic people. And that's gonna be a thing that comes into play. Split the middle, 83, yeah. 8. Call it I was 8, and I knew that was a damn trap. You know why? I'd watched Saturday morning cartoons, that's why. Oops, sorry, Mom. Shouldn't have told you what Dad let us do while you were sleeping in. The allegations are contradicted by Matt's posted appearances, including his use of the first person pronoun I. Alright, and the count falls against there. Alright, so that takes us to the end on this one. I'm going to soapbox briefly on a couple of things, and then I'm going to wrap. And again, next stream is not going to be until... I need a calendar. Wait, you know what I have? I have a printed calendar. I just haven't hung it up yet because I don't want to hang it up and then take it down when we move. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, so... I'm in Japan on the 10th. In Japan on the 17th. I will be back to stream on the 24th. I may or may not be in town on the 31st. Or sorry, on the 30th. 23rd, 3rd. Sorry, 2nd, 9th, and 16th. Yeah, I'm out on the 9th. I'm out on the 16th. I will be back on the 23rd. I may or may not be here on the 30th or the 6th, but I probably will be here at least one of those last 2 days. So that's where we're at on that one. Moving on, though, let's talk about open source software for a second. Go ahead and archive, yeah. Is there any shot at piercing the corporate veil here? Way more than there would be in a sane universe. All right, let's talk about free and open source software. Free and open software is a concept that um, has anybody. You know what? Let me just see real quick. Since I've still got. Let me just see for a second. Yeah, I've still got that up. Let me see if I can find real quickly a YouTube clip that'll give us some audio that will cover this thing. All right, you know what? I'm probably unable to find it, which is a shame. There's a thing Stephen Colbert said back when he was with Comedy Central. I'm going to have to paraphrase it since I can't find the exact quote. It applies to Wikipedia, and it applies to open source software in general. In theory, it shouldn't work. It only works in practice. A lot of what happens with open source, a lot of open source's emphasis, all of open source's emphasis, including the supposedly restrictive things like GPL, is on access. Which means that in many ways, for a huge amount of open source, what you discover when licenses are violated and things is that you've got very limited practical recourse. Now, usually, nobody cares. The reason that nobody cares is that, honestly, open source is a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful thing. It's humanity acting, community developing, humanity acting in a good manner. At its best. We're at our best with open source, even when we're using open source in commercialized projects a lot of the time. We're at our best. There's sharing. There's providing resources to the public. There's limited fences around the parts that we're making our money on, right? The problem with that, though, is that it mostly works because people are committed to it working. Open source, in reality, from a, not even so much a litigation perspective, as a litigation attorney who sees the difficulties of bringing cases perspective. From that perspective, open source is fragile, nearly brittle. Open source works because people want it to work. When people don't want it to work anymore, it will not work anymore. There is nothing magic about them licenses. And what those licenses do basically is, in a lot of those licenses probably lock you only into breach of contract damages, not breach of contract damages, not copyright damages. Effectively, you may lock yourself into that anyway because nobody's registering copyright in any of this stuff. And yeah, Grinch, I'm going to take exception with norms-based bullshit. Because the thing about norms is that, the problem with norms is that norms only work until people stop respecting them. But the thing about norms is that they work most of the time. It's how most things work. And a lot of the time, if you tried to run things without the norms, stuff breaks even faster. And for crying out loud. All right, guilty hand here, semi-guilty hand here. Who else here is a member of some organization that theoretically uses Robert's Rules of Order to run meetings? Let's do that. Huh? Guilty hand. Hi, I'm an odd fellow. Our meeting's supposedly run by Robert's Rules. Who else? Who else? Come on. I know it's not just me. Who else belongs to some organization that does some meetings that are supposed to run by Robert's Rules? Yeah, and Podius Mori, there's a reason I said supposed to. Right? Okay, who here, and I'm waiting for the deafening silence, belongs to an organization that actually uses Robert's Rules all the time and correctly? And without deviation therefrom. HOA, I rest my case. And in addition to an HOA, there is that ultimate of HOAs, which am the Worldcon business meeting. And I'm going to bet your HOA is not... Well, no, I wouldn't... No, never mind. Retire. Yeah, your HOA is probably using it correctly. Right. Nobody, no organization really is ever going to perfectly adhere to Robert's Rules, and almost every organization is more than capable of trying. And yeah, Finn Arrows, yeah, same. I was the sergeant at arms in my fraternity. I knew Robert's Rules from that. Oddfellows, that's the concept. But, yeah. What is the clear legal fix to make open source work better? There isn't one. All right? Flat out, there ain't one. Let's just make that clear. What open source does primarily is use contract law to block things, to protect open source from copyright law. I know that seems like a weird concept. There's like a whole paper in here that has to, get to there. But, Kelly, would you time Rabbit out for 5 minutes, please? And yeah, open source is an honor system. You earned it, Mark Abbott. There's no way to really have copyright law without some method of keeping copyright law and things that people don't want to be under copyright apart. You need that. Gotta have it. Open source unless and until the entire global copyright system is redone, open source is the best I could conceive of for that. And yeah, and that's the thing, is that norms mostly work most of the time. The thing about glitchy, huh? The thing about and that's the thing about norms. They're great. It wouldn't work without them. Thanks, Bookie. 10 was longer than I was planning on continuing to stream. So Happy New Year, Work Habit. See ya on the next stream later at the end of the month. Copyright law is the Inspector Gadget to Dr. Claw. We need, you need them both. And what we've got right now is a system that's good enough most of the time. The problem is that it's no longer good enough with WordPress. I mean, don't know how else to put that for you. It's no longer good enough with WordPress. It's clearly not working. But yeah, norms. Most organizations that run by Robert's rules have a norm that basically is mostly Robert's rules get invoked when they need to be. And not the rest. So, yep, the last thing that I was going to talk about is Free Law Project. bsky.app. Mike Listener, because I know he's... All right, here's the thing I want to highlight for you all. Coming soon, the Pacer Pray and Pay project. Basically, it lets people request documents, and, other people will then be able to see what documents have been requested, and effectively just directly donate those documents to the community. Because, Court Listener is what I've been using. Throughout this process, throughout all of the litigation disaster tourism. It's been getting better. It's absolutely wonderful. The Free Law Project are the folks that run, Recap. They're the folks who make it possible for more people to be able to see more legal documents more easily. I think that's huge. I think that's incredibly important. And so definitely keep an eye on this, because as David here points out, this wish list can function as a thing that people can spend their $30 a quarter fee waivers on. Fun fact, if you sign up for a Pacer account, as long as you keep track of what your balance is and you keep it under $30 every quarter, it's waived. So, this is effectively also a way to cause a lot more good trouble there. And yes, there will be a leaderboard and a mailing list that will remind you to spend your $30 each quarter. So, I think that they're very much worth contributing to, and I hope more people do. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. As a reminder, I've said it like 5 times already, no streams next 2 weeks while I'm engaged in foreign travel. So Winston Works, we should talk sometime, but basically it's because we put a lot less emphasis on the importance of orality in the courts, and much more on writing. All right, War Cabin, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to the rest of you. I will almost certainly be posting photos throughout the journey to Blue Sky. And I will catch you on the flip side later in the month. Doggy, yes, Doggy one more time. Doggy, you want to come say goodbye to the people in the little tiny box? You want to say goodbye to the people in the little tiny box up here? Yeah, come on. Say goodbye to the people in the little tiny box. Yeah, that's a good dog, and that's a good. Whoa, Tootsie Rolls. Bye. Good girl. All right, everybody. We will see you all next time, which again is the 23rd or 24th, whatever that Thursday is in the week with the 20s in it. Yeah, that makes sense. Till then, mahalo for watching, and aloha.